But these are the off-season moves that the 49ers have made. So as you can see all the moves, I don't got to read all of them. You can see them. We're going to be ranking the moves from this offseason. I'm really stoked about the moves we made, but some of them, even if it's not as impactful, I think I trust John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan from, where they took us, because I've been a fan for a while. I've been a fan since we were 4-12 and having terrible seasons back to back when Kaepernick left. And, so I have major respect for the moves they made to turn us around and allow us to be a good organization. So I think that no moves, just to be clear, this offseason were a bad thing, to be honest, because I just believe them that much. But we're going to rank them from what I think. We got Super Bowl impact, phenomenal pool, potential impact, good for depth, iffy, and could have lived without. You see the colors I do? The gray area is the good for depth. Super Bowl impact, obviously that's what we want. So let's just get straight to it. Let's just start with Dre Greenlaw. Straight up, bro. That is probably the most exciting thing about this offseason to me. Just because the fact that I remember the Fred Warner, Dre Greenlaw duo. And I know that nobody forgot the Super Bowl injury that Dre Greenlaw came with 2 years ago when it was not supposed to happen. That was just so unfortunate. I truly, truly, truly to my soul believe the Niners would have won that if it wasn't for Dre Greenlaw getting hurt. So we will run it back and we'll find out this time. So, like I just talked about, Super Bowl impact, I think it's a clear option here for Dre Greenlaw. I'm excited about that duo being back. D. Winters would have been a dope trio. Bro, what am I thinking? Trio, bro. Would be a crazy trio. So yeah, let's move on. Eddie P. Finally, we have a solidified kicker. Sorry, Jake Moody. You were great for a season. I think your rookie season. I was like, okay, maybe it's a good thing we drafted him, but I don't know what happened. Kickers just be losing their confidence pretty easily. So there's that. But Eddie P, I'm really glad we re-signed him. Where would I put him, though? I think it's a phenomenal pool, to be honest. Kickers are very important, and the 49ers proved to us how important that was because we did not have a proper kicker since Robbie Gould, to be honest. Excuse me, sorry, I'm drinking my 49ers cup that I actually got from my dad. This is really nice, huh? Anyways, Jake Tonjes, re-sign. I was stoked about that. I think that's great for depth. I think George Kittle potentially not coming back week 1. But I hear from the Niners news and stuff that he's pushing, or I believe Kyle Shanahan said it, that he's pushing for week 1. So we're all hoping for that. But we're also hoping that he doesn't speed up his healing process because we want him to be healthy for when it matters to win the Super Bowl this year. Which I truly believe. I'm not one of those fans where I'm a Cowboys fan and I'm like, this is our year. Trust me, last year I knew it was a rebuild year. And this year I am strongly saying this is a year that we can for sure finally pull it off and get across the hill. Kind of like the Dodgers. They were there for a while. That's my team too. And they finally got over the hump. I think we'll do that this year. This will be our 2020 year like the Dodgers had to get over the hump finally. All right, so Jake Tonjes, though. Good for depth. I don't think it's a mid good for depth, though. I think it's a potential impact where if George Kittle's not back, Tonjes could have a huge impact right away in the season. Now we go to Luke Gifford. Great re-sign. I think that this is one of the underrated re-signs that I like. I mean, other than the fact that people know he went to the Pro Bowl, I'm pretty sure, if people paid attention. But I saw here when I looked into him more, because I was like, I knew he started last year, but I didn't know that he had 170 defensive snaps. I think that's a solid amount of snaps. It's half of his special team snaps. And obviously he's a Pro Bowl special teamer. So I thought this was really surprising, but not surprising at the same time because obviously our linebackers were hurt last year and Luke Gifford stepping up was huge. So I'm really glad we did that re-sign. So I think that is honestly special teams wise is a potential impact, but I know it's an impact. Honestly, I'll put it in potential pool because in the category of what he plays, which is special teams, he is exactly what we need. Special teams is important. I think us Niner fans, we know that, and we saw that already. Kickers, special teamers like Lou Gifford, doesn't matter. Anybody on special teams are very important, just as important as people on offense and defense. Okay, Sam Oku. I want to pronounce it so bad. I thought it was Sam Okuwanu, but I think it's Sam Okunanu, because I always, when I watch the games, bro, I swear they say my name Keanu, and it trips me out. So I'm pretty sure it's something along those lines. Anyways, them re-signing him, I think was huge. Wait, no, he didn't get re-signed. I messed that up. Wait, it's a departure, right? Departure. Oh no, we re-signed him. Yeah, we did. Okay, that's a huge re-signing, I believe, because like I said, I always hear it on my TV. I always hear his name. I'm gonna be honest, I don't really look at our D-line too much, other than, Bosa's been our major pillar piece on there. But I do hear Sam's name a lot. And as a D lineman, that's a good thing. As an O lineman, that's a bad thing. As a D lineman, if you hear that name a lot, then that's great. And obviously, our D lineman depth is good this year. Thank goodness. This offseason, we definitely focused on that, because last year that was a little bit of a problem. Obviously, injuries everywhere. Linebacker, D lineman. Yep. But this is a great piece. I think it's good for depth, because we obviously have Nick Bosa. We obviously have Michael Williams. We just brought in Osa, which actually, let's do that one next. Osa Odighizuwa is going to be a great piece for the D lineman. I honestly think this is people understand Osa's good, but this is an underrated, not talked about enough Super Bowl impact, in my opinion, just because obviously people are going to focus on Bosa. Michael Williams could break out, but Osa is going to be that force on our D lineman, I believe. And it's going to show. So I'm going to put that on Super Bowl impact. I think that he could show up at the end of games in the playoffs. I could see that happening. I could see that he makes the big play with Bosa, maybe even, or maybe they're focusing on Bosa and he's able to just have his moment in the playoffs. And I'm talking very far ahead, but I think that he is that type of Super Bowl impact. Maybe even win the Super Bowl, get the game-winning sealing sack, but we will see. We will see. Okay, Patrick Taylor re-sign. I think that's an obvious good for depth. Bro, these ads. If you guys have better tier lists, I don't have this many ads, let me know, comment down below. But Patrick Taylor, I already know, good for depth. He's been around for a couple years. He was like our third string running back last year. I think he's solid. I saw him run a little bit at the end of one of the games. I think he's solid, but I think he's just good for depth, especially after we signed Kalen Black. That was a great draft pick. I think he's going to be our running back too. And then I think, to be honest, Guerrero I liked a lot, but what I'm hearing from when I watch David Lombardi, Isaac Guerrero is not in the mix. And that is surprising to me. Bro is pretty fast, but we'll see how that goes. Anyways, Patrick Taylor is just a good depth piece though. But not a superstar, at least of what I've seen so far. So I think that's fair. So Trent Williams, re-sign. He's a freaking beast. I am hyped about this, obviously, as any Niner fan is. We've been waiting for this, and finally he re-signed. When I saw that he re-signed, huge sigh of relief. And I think you could easily say that Trent Williams is a Super Bowl impact type of player. Obviously, he's arguably the best player on our team. Jawan Jennings trade. This one broke my heart. I'm not gonna lie. This one very much broke my heart, because this is me and my boy Jawan Jennings. When I went, actually with this jersey too, I went to the Niners and the Niners-Bears game, the game of the year, the game of the decade, arguably, in my opinion. I think it's going to be the best game I'll ever go to as a Niner fan. But yeah, Jawan took a quick picture with me at the hotel that I was staying near by the stadium. But so this one really broke my heart. Jawan's a dog. The Vikings are getting a good one. Let's look into it a little bit more after we do the tiers. But Jawan Jennings trade, I could have lived without it. I'm going to be honest. But from what I hear from David Lombardi, from the 49ers, like Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch in their press conferences, seemed like there wasn't a great relationship to end off. So it's unfortunate, but obviously my point I wanted to make before we move on to this after we do this segment, Jawan Jennings did get a $13 million deal, and I believe we were offering around the same. So that's just unfortunate, because imagine Jawan Jennings with the receiver room that we have now. Mike Evans, Christian Kirk, I don't know how to pronounce his name perfectly yet, but Dejuan Stribling and Ricky Pearsall. Don't forget about Ricky. But anyways, Bryce Huff retirement, that one hurt too. But I think overall it was a great move to get younger. Bryce Huff retired. He's happy. Obviously, it made us like really focus on D-line depth in the offseason. But if I categorize it, obviously I'd say iffy because, we fixed it. We cleared the gap. But Bryce Huff was a good loss right there. So Spencer Burford, free agency. We lost him. Honestly, I did not know this until later in the offseason, but we addressed the depth already with Vidarian Lowe, and then I believe we signed somebody else, and then we drafted Carver Willis. And so, like, those are guys that are going to probably potentially start. Carver Willis, I hear really good things about, but I don't know about start right away. Let's see how the offseason goes, but I know Vidarian Lowe, I believe, could be our left guard. But Spencer Burford was decent. I think it's a type of iffy thing too. Because like our O-line, according to John Lynch, our O-line spectacular basically. But I think that our O-line is probably just above average. And I'm saying that because Christian McCaffrey does get good pops. Last year at the beginning of the year, I don't know what happened. But he does usually get good pops out of his runs, and so did Brian Robinson last year. So I don't know. I really think that we could upgrade at our O-line. I don't know what we're going to do after Trent. That's a different conversation for a different day, but that's definitely an iffy move. Jordan Elliott, free agency. Again, one of those players on D-line that I've heard, but not as much as Sam Okuananu. So I think this one is just honestly like, I don't even phenomenal pool. Like, is this what it is really? Nah, I think it won't have potential impact. I think it's just, this is not good for depth, but just so I could categorize it in the middle, I'll just put it in the gray area. Okay. All right. And then, let's just finish off the players first. Nate Hobbs. I hear that he's just like, he's not really like a coverage safety. He's more of like a blitzer. And, somebody I forgot was Jack Jones, actually. So I'm just going to go ahead and add him here. I don't know why when I search it up here, it does not say anything about Jack Jones, but I do know Jack Jones we did sign. Sorry, let me go back to Nate Hobbs. I think that's great. I think potential impact. I think that people won't see it coming of what he could really help us with. I think that Raheem Morris, I don't really know too much about, but from what I hear, he got Nate Hobbs for a reason, that's for sure. And I think that he's going to use him the right way, and we're going to get the best out of Nate Hobbs. So I think there's potential impact there, potential moments he may have throughout the season that we are going to be grateful that we signed him this offseason. And then Jack Jones, I think he's a corner that I do know he's a little aggressive, so that's not great. But I do know that I do remember when he was on the Raiders too, he had a one-handed catch against the Chargers when they were blowing him out. And don't correct me if I'm mistaken though, it was the Chargers. But Jack Jones did have a really good year at the Raiders. Patriots, I think he was iffy, but I think that he's a developmental type of player that Raheem Morris and our new DB, our corners coach, will help him with. So I think that Jack Jones is also a potential impact. Definitely not just good for depth for both of them. They're good for depth, but I think they both could have potential impact because Jack Jones is also a big play type of player too, obviously. But sometimes that bites him in the butt. Maybe he could figure out how to balance that. Christian Kirk. I think that honestly, I was excited when I first saw it. I think that he's going to be good as like a, safety blanket for Brock if he gets to the end of his reads. But I do think that Christian Kirk is more just good for depth. I think that the rookie will actually pop off this year, Stribling. So I don't think Christian Kirk will have as much as an impact as I initially thought because we still have Ricky, we still have Mike, but he's definitely good for depth. So when he gets the opportunity, I think he will come through for us. So I think that was a huge signing just as a solid depth piece. Cam Sample, I hear that he might not even make the 53-man roster, also from David Lombardi. But I I don't really know too much about him. Honestly, I think he could be good for depth. I don't really know too much about him to make really a speculation on him, but obviously bodies. We need bodies for D linemen, and I think that was just great for that point in itself. Vidarian Lowe, yes, I think could be a potential impact. Like I said, I believe he has a chance to be our left guard. Let's see what happens throughout the rest of the offseason, but he definitely has a potential impact. Like I said, O-lineman, I think is always an upgrade at this point. Like, we could always upgrade, especially when Trent leaves. I think we could always draft. We could always bring in better players. We were so spoiled with Joe Staley to Trent Williams. We were so spoiled. There was no drop off for a left tackle, but now it seems like they may be a drop off unless we develop. I'm not sure if Aaron Lowe was the one that we could develop. No, I think Carver Willis is the one that we could develop into a left tackle. It was one of our draft picks, I believe, or one of our pickups. I believe it was draft picks, but yeah. Anyways, O-lineman is a little bit of a complication right now, but I think we'll be okay. I think we'll be enough to get past, and we have enough star players everywhere else, to be honest. And we still got Trent. Mike Evans. Come on. Do I even have to say anything? Mike Evans is a Super Bowl impact. People are downplaying it, and that's what kind of pisses me off a little bit because, bro, Mike Evans is still Mike Evans. I don't care how old he is. I don't care what you think about the San Francisco 49ers. Mike Evans is a receiver that Brock Purdy has never had as being a 49er. And Mike Evans is going to make that big play in every meaningful game. Mark my words. He is going to be the difference on our offense to help Christian McCaffrey with those big type of plays that'll get us all the way to the Super Bowl. And not just get us there, but win us it. I promise you guys, Mike Evans never should be downplayed for the move of him coming to the 49ers. And I'm excited for that. I'm super excited for it. Bro, literally, there was an off-season video of him just running a go route. People want to talk so much. It's just a go route, and then maybe that's what they're literally saying, like it's just a go route. Maybe that's their hate. But literally, you think that Mike Evans is only doing that this offseason? Be for real, bro. Be for real. He is not just doing that. That's all he's showing you. And I don't think people are ready for what he's going to bring. And especially with new fire, new motivation, with when he knows he's in a Super Bowl type team, like Super Bowl ready team. Like Mike Evans literally said he knows he's the missing piece, and I believe that too. Okay. Lastly, 2026 NFL draft class. I think, okay, let's go to it. Let's see. The draft class is right here. Okay. We have Dejuan Stribling, Kalen Black, Carver Willis, Ephesians Prysock, Jaden Duggar, Enrique Cruz Jr. So I think that a lot of I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 out of 6, I feel like will have an impact. And that's the first 5. Enrique Cruz, I don't know much about, but I keep hearing about Carver Willis, and that he's like George Kittle and stuff. I still got to look at his press conferences for rookie minicamp and stuff. But Kalen Black, I really like Kalen Black coming out of Indiana, a freaking champion winning team, ready to win a Super Bowl. Stribling, I think, is super freaking fast, that it's going to just affect our offense in a way that no one's seen since Debo in his prime. Carver Willis, yes. Ephesians Prysock, I think he could be a great corner with Demo. And yeah, we need another solidified corner because unless Renardo Green steps up this year, I really felt iffy before we drafted Prysock. So I'm hoping that he could develop into a great corner. Renardo could be our depth piece, or maybe he steps up. I think that's a win-win for us. Jaden Duggar, I hear, is a depth piece and something more for down the line. And I think he's a great player, and I think that's a great idea. But I guess this year I would say 4 out of 6 of them are like a this year type of impact, which is the first 4. These. And so with that, I will go back to put them on phenomenal pool. I like our draft. I like that we ended up getting 6 draft picks instead of 4. I love that. I love that all around. And then we turn around after the draft and get, was it 6, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7? 7. Anyways, okay. Well, it says we got 7 undrafted rookies. I hear a lot about Khalil Dinkins, that he's that he's pretty good and that he was behind Tyler Warren, so that he has potential that wasn't able to be seen. That's why his stats are down. But That's an interesting piece that could be a great piece of depth. Bryson Eason, Wesley, all these other guys I don't really know about. I believe it was Kamara. One of these D linemen is, oh no, or was it Bryson Eason? One of these are from Indiana, and I think that they'll down the line have an impact. Hopefully not this year because it would probably take a lot of injuries for him to play. But I hear he's undersized, but he's a dog. So I think that this will help us down the line. I think that this is more so, the undrafted free agents are more so good for depth. Because out of all of them, I mean, who is really going to, where did it go? Who is really going to have an impact this year other than if like Khalil Dinkins gets some reps because Kittle's not back yet and something happens to Tonjes, God forbid. But, yeah. So it's more in the good for depth part, better down the line, but definitely not bad signings in my opinion. So this is the finished tier list. Let me know what you guys think down below. Rate it from 1 to 10. Let me know what you would change.